We had a great day exploring Woodstock, Vermont. Vermont may be one of the prettiest states in the Union, and I think Woodstock may just be the prettiest city in Vermont. In this episode of Gene and Renee Travel Adventures, we're going to explore the gorgeous town of Woodstock, Vermont. We're going to see a really cool covered bridge, and we'll go to a local pottery. A huge thank you to the kind folks at Sleep Woodstock Motel for sponsoring this episode. In a few minutes, Renee and I will give you a tour and tell you about the Sleep Woodstock Motel. In an upcoming episode, we're going to show several of the covered bridges in Vermont, but in this episode, I do want to show you one that is right there at Woodstock. It's a gorgeous covered bridge, and if you're like me, you wonder, okay, what's the big deal about a covered bridge? Why is it covered? Well, first of all, a covered bridge means that it's a timber truss bridge, and it's got a roof to it, it's got decking to it, siding to it, completely covers it. It's kind of a complete enclosure, if you will. Now, the reason that they did this was because it was made out of wood. And wood, everybody knows, the weather greatly decreases the lifespan of something when it's made of wood and it's not covered. Think about your house. And so they would cover them like this, and where if it was uncovered, it would last about 20 years. When you cover it like this, it can last for like a century. And so this is a good example of one, and you can see the way the inside structure looks. You can see the way the beams are done, the trusses are done. It's really quite fascinating. In Vermont, I didn't notice this, but in other parts of the United States, I'm pretty sure if you had a covered bridge, it would be filled with homeless people at night, and which, that's okay in a way, but you couldn't get a car through there. But in this case, if it's snowing or if the weather is bad, you're walking and or you're on horseback or you've got your dog with you or whatever, your animals, you can kind of take shelter underneath this for a few minutes before going back out again. So that's kind of cool. While we were out riding around, we saw the sign, Farmhouse Pottery, Retail Store and Workshop. Now, for Renee, it probably caught her attention that it said Retail Store. What caught my attention was the word Workshop. I thought, I want to see what they're working on. And so we went in there, and it was really, really cool. You had the retail store, of course, and you're going to see a bunch of stuff for that. But what I liked was they had the pottery workshop. They were making the pottery right there. And we got to see several people working on that, and you're seeing that right now. That's kind of like, it's not on my bucket list because I don't want to elevate it to that level, but it's something I've always been interested in and want to give it a try one day. So I'm hoping when we're later in Baja California Sur in Mexico, I'm going to get a chance to work on some pottery and do that and give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe I can make a pot or a bucket or something. It'd be interesting to find out. in Woodstock, we stayed at the beautiful Sleep Woodstock Motel and met the proprietor and now our friend, Patrick. Let me clarify, this is not a traditional motel. If you're looking for bland, generic, inexpensive furnishings and questionable cleanliness, this ain't it. Sleep Woodstock Motel takes quality, impeccable service, cleanliness, and hospitality to the next level. Patrick ran an advertising agency in Manhattan. Leslie, his wife, worked in New York City as a paralegal, human resources, office manager, and handling special projects, 4 jobs all at the same time. After a long, successful career, they both decided that it was time for a slower pace and a more relaxed atmosphere. They purchased the motel and began a new life. Patrick shared with us some of the building's history. Actually, there were 3 stages to the motel. In 1959, there were 6 rooms with the garage. Then around 1964 or 65, the folks who owned the motel needed more space and revamped the private area, made the garage the office, and added 4 additional rooms. In 65 or 66, they added the last 2 rooms. There have been many different owners throughout the years. Patrick and his wife Leslie purchased the motel in 2013 and completely renovated everything. And by that, I mean everything. Everything done to the very highest level of perfection. Everything looks brand new and is kept clean, polished, and looking top-notch. They are perfectly located, only minutes from 4 awesome ski mountains, Okemo, Killington, Pico, and Suicide 6. There is the Mountain Creamery restaurant next door where you can enjoy a delicious Vermont breakfast and lunch, plus some of the best homemade ice cream that you can find. And the center of Woodstock is only 8 minutes away. Trust me when I tell you the Sleep Woodstock Motel is where you want to stay when visiting the charming town of Woodstock, Vermont. Thank you, Patrick and Leslie of the Sleep Woodstock Motel, for sponsoring this episode of Gene and Renee Travel Adventures. I'll put a link to their website in the comments and description sections. Woodstock is one of the prettiest places that you will ever visit. It's a gorgeous area of Vermont. Actually, it's kind of 2 different areas. There's the village of Woodstock. Only about 900 people live there. It's a village, total area of about a square mile. In 2011, it was listed by the American Planning Association as 2011 Great Places in America under the streets category. And so it's a pretty area. It really, really is. Like I said, only about 900 people living there, but that's the little small village of Woodstock, which is part of the larger area of Woodstock, the Shire town, the county seat, Woodstock, of Windsor County, Vermont. Now the population there is about 3,000, and that includes those villages of Woodstock and South Woodstock and Taftesville and West Woodstock, and so larger area. The town charter actually goes back to July 10th, 1761. One kind of cool thing is the town maintains a free community Wi-Fi internet service. Now, of course, it's paid for by their taxes, but it covers pretty much the whole village area of Woodstock, and it's called Wireless Woodstock. Now, that larger area of Woodstock covers about 44 square miles, and it's in a good location. I mean, you know, it's rural, but it's only about a 3-hour drive away from Boston, Massachusetts. It's only about 250 miles away from New York City, and yet it feels like it's a million miles away from those larger cities. Gorgeous, gorgeous area. If you're ever traveling to New Hampshire or Vermont or upstate New York You need to go to Woodstock, Vermont. You will thank me for that. You will love it there.
Stay awake every night just to catch one more glimpse of your skin. When I look at the way you sleep, I know I'm home. Times I believe I can change and be the man just for you. Like a flash of the future, I see our sons and daughters too. No tomorrow, spin your sorrow, let the games begin. Reach out of your bed, come out ahead, don't dwell within.
This monument in town reads, "In memory of the boys of Woodstock and vicinity who served in the Army and Navy of the nation in the War of the Rebellion of 61 to 65.
A significant life, just where it was needed. Gleaming black as night, cloistered in injustice, dead in the eye of time. Nobody is losing. Faces merchant change, but your face remains the same. The swallows will be here by dawn. When we're finally sober, they'll be gone. The trees will bloom and ice will melt. We'll always remember how it felt. fully sober, they'll be gone. The trees will bloom and ice will melt. We'll always remember how it felt. Ooh.
Thank you again, Patrick and Leslie of Sleep Woodstock Motel, for sponsoring this episode of Gene and Renee Travel Adventures. I'll put a link to their website in the description and the comment section of this video. Friends, we so much appreciate you joining us on this journey. In our next episode, before we leave Vermont, we will take you to a Vermont maple and cheese farm and a look at several fascinating covered bridges. Take care, my friends.